All right, what's up? What's up? Happy Monday to everyone out there. This is another episode of Rollin with Hayes. The previous two episodes we did were focused strictly on crypto, and then we're going to switch up the script this time. And a lot of things have happened in sports. So we kind of need to dive into all these different topics and categories right now. And then on the show, when Steve and I are on, we'll kind of dive deeper into them. A couple of topics we'll, of course, talk about. March Madness is essentially in full effect. A lot of the conference tournaments are happening. In women's, they have been completed in a good amount. So we've started to see some of the number one seeds come about. And then kind of looking at the NFL, it was big. Today's going to be a big day if you're listening to this on Monday. And we'll be covering it every single day. The big events that Steve and I always talk about are the scouting combine is huge, and then after the scouting combine, you do have free agency, and free agency does start this week. A huge topic of conversations going through the running back position. You have numerous different running backs that are out there on the market. Big names such as Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley are both going to be there. Joe Mixon, they say it's going to be out there, but we'll kind of see what ends up happening with Joe Mixon. And then kind of going a level deeper, you have Austin Eckler that's going to be out there too. Josh Jacobs, TBD. But that's kind of really how the running back market's going to shake out. It's really going to be the running backs. I know people are talking about the wide receivers, but T. Higgins, Michael Pittman, we know where they're both going. So the big talk is, of course, going through the running backs. Quarterbacks are kind of just starting with that topic, I guess, because we brought it up. Quarterback-wise, we know where Russell Wilson's going, and we know where Baker Mayfield's going. Russell Wilson is going to be going on a one-year deal with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I'll definitely be diving in, getting Steven's thoughts, because that's his team. I know that that's going to be an impactful thing, kind of just seeing what happens out there in Pittsburgh with Russell Wilson. I do want to try and get some more insight from different people that are within the Steelers organization or Steelers fans, because he's going to fight for the job, but I'm pretty sure Russell Wilson's going to be that quarterback there. And there were talks over the season that he was going to go to Pittsburgh. There weren't too many destinations that we could see him going, and Pittsburgh was kind of one of them. They do have a solid foundation that's out there. They have George Pickens that's there, Deontay Johnson that's there, the two running backs that are both solid. So I think that they can do something with Jalen, and then you have Najee. So I think that's really helpful. Of course, you have Pat Freiermuth as well. They did release Patrick Peterson on the defense, but that defense is solid when you have Minka and then you have TJ, both on the backside on defense in terms of in the trenches, and then you have anchoring your secondary. Kind of going another step deeper from that, we did have another quarterback signing, and that was Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield did sign a 3-year, $100 million deal, so that's solid money, $50 million guaranteed, so congrats to him on that one. You always like to see them get paid, and Baker had to work for this contract. I know they always say certain people get the easy side of things. Baker had to work. He was Carolina, bounced to Los Angeles, was a dog out there, then worked in Tampa, got them to the playoffs, and they did it. And also they were able to sign Mike Evans, so they're essentially running it back with those guys there. So I want to see them continue to solidify everything. Let's see if they can duplicate what they had again. Of course, in the NFC South, you have the Saints who have Derek Carr. You have the Panthers who are still rocking with Bryce Young. And then you have the Falcons who they're trying to figure out what's going to happen at quarterback. I don't know if they're going to try and figure it out through the draft or if they're going to go with Fields or Kirk Cousins. But that's another topic that we'll have to dive deeper into. Mac Jones is another quarterback, and Mac Jones is going to be now backing up in Jacksonville. They did trade for him, which all but shores up that the Patriots are going to be getting a quarterback. And more than likely, it's going to be the draft since they have a solid draft pick. Some people have been speculating it's going to be Jaden Daniels, which is not a bad draft pick at all. Heisman winner as well. So I could see the LSU boy going up to play in New England. That's a change in the guard. That's already up there. And that's kind of one to pay attention to, see what ends up happening. Ravens signed up one of their linemen, which is another good one. Eric Armstead out there, San Francisco 49ers, is released. So that's kind of something to pay attention to, what the 49ers do. They got Chase Young via trade. So we can kind of see what's happening. When you have a lot of defensive linemen, different things happen. Speaking of defensive linemen, mad respect, mad props, big shout out to Fletcher Cox. Fletcher Cox did retire. And that's big for Philly because Philly had their center and one of their longtime D linemen both retire in the same offseason. So this is going to be important to just see what ends up happening going forward in Philly. I don't know how much of a player they're going to be in terms of free agency. There is talks of Saquon Barkley, but of course Saquon has been linked to the Chargers. Saquon's been linked to the Eagles. There's multiple teams that are out there that can end up going for his services. And then kind of looking at, I know Seattle was another one they were talking about. What is Seattle going to do in terms of quarterback position? The running back position is really short because when you have Ken Walker that's back there who has been doing a good job. And yeah, so free agency is just going to be an important time. This is when a lot of the decision makings do happen. Then you start to figure out what rookies people are going to draft. Where is Marvin Harrison Jr. going to go? Where is Caleb Williams going to go? Where is Jaden Daniels going to go? Where is Drake May going to go? Where is Brock Bowers going to go? And then you go to the next level. Where is Roma Dunze going to go? All these different things to be figured out kind of through this week. The big name signings will end up allowing you to know what those first round draft picks are going to be. That's kind of how it ends up going. And then from that, we'll have to analyze that and explain to you fantasy-wise why that's relevant, NFL-wise why certain teams are going to be in better positions than other teams. You start to hear like the Commanders talk to, saying that the Commanders are going to have a great year just because they got new ownership. But they have to figure out who that first round draft pick is going to be. Are you going to go with the quarterback? Are you going to try and shore up your lines? What makes the most sense for these different organizations is really what this offseason is going to come down to. And you start to see where people's mindsets are, what they prioritize more than others. So that's kind of the big thing over there. We will continue to dive into all these different talks as we continue going forward. I kind of want to close this out with the NBA and March Madness. So everyone knows, and of course, I saw people sent it to me, people are talking about it, but boy, that LSU and South Carolina women's basketball rivalry is real. And I think that is great for the sport. Elijah Johnson's brother was wild jumping onto the court thinking that this is just a backyard brawl and he could just come out there then realize how big the women are. Was like, nah, I don't want none of this. So he's probably going to be banned from games just because you can't do that. You also have to set a precedent, especially with this rivalry heating up. And this is huge. I've been saying this to people since last year. I was watching it with people last year. This is amazing for women's basketball. You have not had this in a long time. And then even Haley Van Lith going to LSU, that was big. You have LSU that is a powerhouse. You have South Carolina, undefeated season. So you know they have expectations of just winning it all. Caitlin Clark and the Iowa Hawkeyes are number one seed. Juju Watkins and USC is the number one seed. That's a freshman. They've been doing it. So you have 3 number one seeds shored up so far. You had different conference finals games finish up. Notre Dame beat NC State. So you have all this happening at one time right now. And that's huge for the sport. You know, you still have UConn that's out there. LSU's going to be fighting. Stanford's still up there. Ohio State's still there. These are all teams that are there. Yeah, they didn't win their conference championship, but it's going to make for a great tournament. And they were saying what really is there on the men's side, because half the men, you either just go overseas, get your money, go play for overtime sports, or you can end up going to playing like the G League. And that's where all this money can be made. You can make money earlier. Or you're playing overseas. Like, the number 1 pick last year was not even from America. The number 2 pick, Scoop, he didn't even play in the NCAA. They go play other places. And there's not that one player. Yeah, you have Rob Dillingham, which is going to be probably a top 5 pick. But Coach Cal don't even got him starting most of the times. If you're a basketball head, you know him. But if you're not, you don't really know Rob Dillingham like that. And that's kind of how it is year after year. Who are these players? Some of them pop off, but it takes a minute. And then the NBA is like, who's going to be our face of the league kind of going forward? Because you have to start thinking about that. LeBron's nearing the end of his career. He's giving y'all a great run and tried to help you guys find who's going to that next phase. And y'all are struggling to figure it out fully who it's going to be. People have different ones that they really like. There's no overwhelming face of the league once he's gone. There's no team that's dominating the entire league. You had the Nuggets win last year. You had the Warriors win before that. You had LeBron's Lakers win as well, kind of before that. But there hasn't been that overwhelming Warriors team. When it was Warriors, you knew people were going to lock in and look at that. When you knew the Heat were going to lock in and do that. Back in the day, the Lakers, you knew that. Nobody knows year after year. You kind of have your speculations, but it's a tussle every single time. And I'm saying that going back to the NCAA with women's, that's going to be great. On the men's side, I don't even know. I couldn't even tell you who's the overwhelming favorite. Houston dominated Kansas. Then you had Purdue that won their game. Purdue might get bounced. Houston's probably going to get bounced. Kansas, they always find a way. I don't trust Duke and UNC. You don't ever trust Duke. I'm a UNC boy, but UNC has not been the UNC of old. Are you going to trust any of them? These are all the questions you're going to have to ask, and that's why people love the March Madness time in men's basketball, because you do not know. But that struggle that's only a month. After that, you don't know how it's going to go in terms of the NBA, but people can make their money because of this time. Look at what happened. Y'all know Steph Curry because of what he did in March Madness. You didn't really know fully what he did at Davidson before then. And that's the exciting part. You can have a good run, and that can get you there. Same with, like, college football. You have a good run in the playoffs, that can set you up with some money too. But we'll kind of see what it happens and what goes down in March Madness. I'm excited for it. Kind of finishing this up. NBA-wise, Lakers did beat the Timberwolves. LeBron had a great game. AD had a great game, 2020 game. You have the Thunder still winning, so they're looking like locks. I want to talk about the play-in because that's going to be all the talk with the 4 teams that currently, last I checked, were there. Of course, it keeps flip-flopping between the Kings and Suns for that, 6 seed. But that 7, 8, 9, 10, those are the teams that everyone grew up on player-wise. And you have the Suns, you have the Mavericks, you have the Lakers, and the Warriors. Who are going to be the ones to get in? Only 2 get in. I know one of them who are going to get in. That's going to be the Lakers for sure. They're going to find a way to get there. So then who's going to be that other one? Is it going to the Suns with their new big 3 that they were so hyped for? And I think it's a disappointment. They don't even make the playoffs. And you have Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant, and Devin Booker. Y'all did all this work to get them there. And for that not to even make the playoffs, that's considered a loss in an unsuccessful year. And then looking at the next one, the Mavericks, you have Luka and Kyrie. How many years do you keep this up? Because Luka's going to need some help. Kyrie's good, but defense they always talk about. What defense is going to be played? Who else are you going to need to shore up everything? And then the Warriors. So this is the last run for them. Is Clay, Draymond, and Steph going to have to rip that team apart at the end of this year? Because you'd rather rip it up too early. You'd rather rip it up a little bit early than rip it up late. And they got their rings. You don't want to rip it up late, and then they always say the big thing is you'd rather die a hero than live long enough to see yourself become a villain. They say that in the Batman movies. Is that what's going to happen? This team is going to start having either bad blood or different things, or just let those 3 essentially become tenured. And the only one that has been consistent right now. They've been saying Clay's falling off, but he could probably go somewhere else and give you buckets. Draymond been having a lot of wild shit going on over there. And then you have Steph, who's just been Mr. Consistent, because that shot can live on for forever. He's going to go down as one of the best shooters in this game, and it shows it to you. So that's really it. I want to continue with these stories and just continue to follow up on them as we go forward. But yeah, appreciate y'all rocking with us. This is episode 3 out there with Rollin with Hayes. I might give y'all some more deep information in terms of the finance world coming up, because there are some things that I'm looking forward to, but it's going to be big on the NFL side. I'm going to give you my quick thoughts with all these signings that are going to happen. March Madness, I'll start to give you all my picks as they come about. I might give you some surprises I think that are going to happen. And then NBA-wise, playoffs are right around the corner. I'm going to the Boston Celtics Wizards game, so that's something we'll definitely talk about. Being able to see that unit together, top in the league, with Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Drew Holiday, Kristaps Porzingis, and then you can sprinkle in there one of the other players that normally end up getting that spot. Most times it's like Derek White, but that's going to be exciting to kind of see how that team is. But this is Hayes with another episode of Rollin with Hayes. I'll catch y'all next time. We out.